Thank you. Uh, so all of the ologies consist the curriculum for the beginning, and that's our foundation for being a doctor. That's your foundation for communicating with other health professionals, for understanding the body, for understanding the why of why disease shows up. And then we get the clinical education, and this is the how. So we start out with the why, and then we get to the how. And the how is how you address different diseases and patient populations that come up. And so naturopathic doctors are trained as primary care doctors who specialize in the whole range of from birth to death. And so your clinical rotations may start in your first year. There's a minimum of 1,200 supervised hours. There will be specialty focus shifts in various different areas that you can choose as well. And every one of our schools gives back to the community in various different ways, whether it is free care to homeless shelter, patrons, or women's health or pediatric health at schools. But all of our schools pride themselves on having community-based teaching clinics. And the things that you're going to learn. So there's nutrition, there's mind-body medicine, there's lifestyle counseling and homeopathy. Botanical medicine is very strong in the schools. And we really do embrace the evidence-based therapies that are out there for treating people as naturally as possible. And it's really exciting to be on the forefront of that. There is also research happening at many, if not all, of the programs that you can be involved in as well. And so some of these career opportunities, both in school and then when you graduate. So the majority of our docs go on to be clinicians. However, there are folks that are involved in research in the natural pharmacy, so in the natural products industry, public health, as consultants, and so many other ways. There are best-selling authors, there are entrepreneurs, there are so many different options that I think the flexibility the degree offers, that we really do see folks thriving, especially when they tap into their own personal strengths and their passion. And so some of the areas that we see, this really speaks to me because this is the core of naturopathic medicine. Treat the gut. So 64% of folks focus on GI and digestion. Nutrition is core to what we do. Dealing with sleep. If you're not sleeping well, your body doesn't have the ability to heal itself overnight. So all of these components are so core to what we do. And we see that reflected in the data from this graduate survey that we held a few years back. And so what we have in this is where docs work. The red is for Canada and the blue is in the US. And again, you'll see the majority of folks, and this does not add to 100 because people may have multiple places where you're working, but you will see that the majority of folks are in private practice, either solo or group. And then there are lots of other ways that work expresses itself, whether it's consulting or community health centers, hospitals and pharmacies, and so on. So one of the things that I think we really do see is that folks who choose this pathway are very satisfied in their choice. There is no profession that I think there's going to be 100% satisfaction. Sometimes life changes, your priorities change, you learn something new about yourself, or, circumstances shift. But we do see a very high percentage of the people who come through our doors are really satisfied with what they do. So I'm going to kind of skip through some of this patient visit stuff. We have webinars that have talked about what the patient visit looks like, but I think what you'll find in naturopathic medicine is we get really deep into the relationship with patients, and our students enjoy and are drawn to our medicine because of that connection to the patient. So fast forward to graduation and licensure. The regulation, naturopathic doctors are regulated in the US and Canada, and in a number of jurisdictions, which I've got another slide. NPLEX 1 and 2 are required for regulation in the US, NPLEX 1 and 2, and CONO in Ontario, that's used in Canada. And so for more information, there are some websites here. Feel free to take a screenshot and go and visit those if you have additional questions on regulation. And this is the area, the map of regulation for the US and Canada. So you'll see the teal and light and dark teal are the regulated jurisdictions. So here are our schools who are with us today. So I'm going to get started in introducing our schools really soon. And they will be able to talk to you about their prerequisites, about what is required to enter their program. So there are some general ideas on prerequisites, but please do reach out to each program today to understand what you need to do to be ready to apply, and where your major fits in, and the courses that you've taken. And so with that, let's find your fit. So I'm going to introduce the first school. So that is going to be the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine, which has campuses in Toronto and Vancouver in Canada. And you folks can just let me know when to advance your slides. And please feel free to unmute yourself and jump in and introduce yourselves.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Dr. Inez. So it's nice to virtually meet everyone today. My name is Hazel Alazar. I'm the Student Services Officer at Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. I also have Megan Hennessy joining me today as well. So as Dr. Inez mentioned, during the presentation, if you have any questions, you can just write them in the chat there. Okay. So before I go to the next slide, I just wanted to give everyone a bit of a background about CCNM. So CCNM has been educating naturopathic doctors for over 45 years and have two campuses in Canada, one in Toronto, Ontario, and the other in the Metro Vancouver in British Columbia, also known as our Boucher campus. Our postgraduate program is about 4 years full-time and have 2 intakes per year, which are September and January. Next slide, please. So to give everyone an overview of the program, it consists of case-based learning. So you truly get your hands involved right away into the program, where in year 1, you'll be introduced into clinic, and then you continue that into year 2. Year 3, you're a secondary intern, and then year 4, you're a primary clinic intern. Though later on in your program, you have the option of choosing electives, usually around year 3 or year 4. And some of those electives include sports medicine, mental health, pediatrics, botanical medicine, and like the others there to choose from, as you can see. Next slide, please. So both campuses have an on-site teaching clinic. That is where students spend your final year as a primary intern. So you also have the option of internships in the list of community health centers there as well. So there's 7 in the Toronto area and 6 in the Metro Vancouver and Victoria area. Next slide, please. So we all know school is important and also believe that student life is important as well. We have a dedicated function of student life, which is Desil Manampat. She's our manager of student life, and she's also located at our Boucher campus. She's also responsible for ensuring that our student voices are heard. We believe that student mental health and wellness is a top priority to us at CCNM. And this is why we've made sure that students have adequate supports in place. One of the mental health supports available to students is an online counseling service called Empower Me, which is a confidential support service available 24/7, 365 days a year. But in addition to this, we have an on-site counselors at both campuses for in-person visits as well. Another wellness support is our Thrive program, which provides students with wellness activities and resources throughout the year. Past activities included like nature walks, yoga classes, and meditation circles. And since exam time is coming up at both of our campuses, some of our upcoming events included therapy dogs to give students a mindful break, and a body, breathe, and joy workshop focusing on releasing anxiety through movement and dance. Next slide, please. So our research department is a leader in evidence-based research. Our research group is very active at CCNM. It is something that we are very proud of, and our students really enjoy it as well, just because of the many opportunities that students get involved in. Each month has a study month. study of the month and a research club, which is brought to you by current students at CCNM. They would have a discussion thread where you can comment, share perspectives on specific topics. Our president sends out an update on how to get involved and some research news as well. Next slide, please. So career choice is truly developed during the time that you're with us. As you gain clinical experience, externships, and attending our annual career fair, you can build network opportunities as well. You can work in various settings, and some of the settings might include medical clinics, hospitals, own your own practice, or work as an associate at a practice, or even teach at college and universities as well. Next slide. And that's it. So that concludes our presentation. You guys can, I guess, ask questions in the chat there, and then we'll definitely be able to answer accordingly. Or if we don't get your questions answered today, you can always email info. So they're info@ccnm.edu. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next school joining us today is NUHS and their Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine program.
Hi, can you hear me? Everyone hear me okay?
Sure can.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Amy Turvey, and I am one of the admissions counselors here at NUHS, or National University of Health Sciences. We can go to the next slide. So a little bit about National University of Health Sciences. We were founded in 1906 by Dr. John Fitz Allen Howard with the blessing of D.D. Palmer, the founder of chiropractic medicine. We offer graduate and undergraduate degrees in complementary and alternative medicine. We have 2 campuses. Our main campus in Lombard, Illinois offers all of our programs, and our St. Petersburg, Florida site has just our chiropractic program. And we have a total enrollment of over 500 students. Next slide. So the programs we offer are our Doctor of Chiropractic Medicine program, our Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine program, our Master of Acupuncture program, and our Master of Acupuncture with a specialization in Chinese herbal medicine. We also have 1 undergraduate program. It's a Bachelor's in Biomedical Science completion program. Next slide. So the ND program here at NUHS is 10 trimesters long and can be completed in 3 years and 4 months. Since we are in a trimester summer, we do go year round with our spring, summer, and fall trimesters. Our ND program is broken into 3 phases. The first phase is your basic sciences. The second phase is your clinical sciences. And the third phase is your clinical internship. You spend a full year in your internship. Our current tuition is currently $583 per credit hour, and there is a total of 251 total credits in the program. Next slide. So some strengths of our ND program are our integrated learning environment. You get to learn alongside students in other programs. As I've mentioned before, students, they are future colleagues, not competitors. You have the opportunity to enroll in multiple programs, including our chiropractic program and our acupuncture program, along with our naturopathic program. Dual enrolling is a great option because it saves time and tuition due to the shared coursework in the programs. And you are taught naturopathic philosophy and clinical theory, not simply naturopathic theories. Next slide. As an intern in the ND program, you get to take advantage of our state-of-the-art hydrotherapy suite, and we offer homeopathic clinical rotation at the Centers for Integral Health here in Lombard. Next slide. So some unique opportunities here at NUHS. Regarding admission into the naturopathic program here, we do have rolling admissions with the 3 start terms every year. We require a bachelor's degree and a minimum GPA of a 3.0. For students with a GPA below 3.0, there is an alternative admission track plan that does provide additional advising and tracking of your board scores to ensure students are successful in the program. Additional admission requirements are the application that comes with 3 essay questions. There is a $55 application fee, 2 character references, a phone interview with your admissions counselor, official transcripts, and then if accepted, a $225 deposit. Next slide. So that is, here is our contact information. We are available, that's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. Central Time, our office hours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, NUNM.
Okay, hello, thank you. Good morning. Well, where I'm at. Okay, so hello, I'm Nicole, and I'm one of the admission counselors with the Natural University of Natural Medicine, and that's a mouthful, so we're going to shorten that to NUNM for short. We're located in Portland, Oregon. We were founded in 1956, and on this slide is our small but mighty campus, primarily housed in a 110-year-old historical, beautiful building. Our programs have intakes in the fall, and we have 4 or 5 year options for our ND programs. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're the first and oldest accredited naturopathic university in North America, and our main focuses are natural medicine education and evidence-based research. So this makes us one of the most respected universities in the medical world. We feel so fortunate to be located in Portland, Oregon, where we're not only surrounded by beautiful landscapes, we have a mountain, we have the coast, we have the desert all around us, not too far of a drive to the desert, but we also have dozens, if not hundreds of nonprofits doing really great advocacy work in the fields of social justice, equity, public health. So there's really no better place to organize, collaborate with the community, with partners in the community, and to get active. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned before, we're the oldest naturopathic university in North America. We're coming up on 67 years this fall. Our alumni work all around the world and have been integral to supporting our graduate success after completing their degrees with residency and job placement. A lot of times when students go on preceptorships, if there's an opening in that clinic, they will hire the students that were there at that time. Some of our alumni have even gone on to establish their own medical schools, which is why we are sometimes referred to as the mothership. Having a long history has allowed us to develop a curriculum that's become the basis for all naturopathic education in North America. It has also given us the opportunity to tap into the expertise of multiple cultures and ways of healing. Supporting all of this is our HealthGot Research Institute, where faculty and students collaborate on research projects to expand the scientific evidence behind integrative medicine. One study that a student is currently leading is focusing on how mental health affects physical health by studying how emotional traumas such as car accidents, loss, health disparities play a role in different types of disease later in life, specifically focusing on arthritis. And that student is working on this study with Dr. Heather Zwicky, who's the founder of our research institute and is also still our director. Next slide, please. So besides being the first naturopathic school, what else sets us apart? First, Oregon has the broadest scope of practice and licensure in the United States. So this allows our students to have the widest possible range of experiences when it comes to face-to-face interactions with patients. And this means that you're starting your clinical term 1, year 1 with real-world experience. We're also the only naturopathic university to have an accredited first-year online option. This is especially great for students who need that extra time to prepare for a move to Portland. This online year is identical to the in-person experience and is equally as rigorous. The only difference is that the online students will complete their hands-on experience in a summer intensive between years 1 and 2, and then they will join their in-person cohort years 2 forward. All righty, next slide. So while you're at NUNM, you can pursue a second degree in one of our other graduate degree options, such as classical Chinese medicine, nutrition, integrative medicine research, or global health. We're the only naturopathic university to offer the global health secondary program, which gives students traveling opportunities. This year, there are trips to Ghana and Tanzania happening, for example, and it also supports you in a career for public health. Alrighty, next slide. So as I mentioned, you'll be starting your clinical hours in term 1, year 1. Our Layer Hill Clinic allows our students to interact with a diverse range of patients, which will grow your cultural competency to prepare you. At our patient-centered primary care home, we accept state insurance and Medicare. So in fact, Oregon will assign patients to our clinic for their primary care, which is helping us break down barriers to naturopathic healthcare. We're also lucky to be connected to multiple partner organizations in the community, such as Rosehaven. And this is a day shelter and community center specifically serving women, children, and gender diverse people in Portland, where students are able to go in and provide free care. Alrighty, next slide. So I'm happy to connect with you on any and all questions, both admissions or program related. Please feel free to reach out to me from anything to prerequisites, application process, or helping set up a tour and class observation. We love to have students come in and sit in on a class. You can also follow us on the usual social media platforms to get to know us better. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next school up is Sonoran University.
So hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Sarah, and I work in admissions at Sonoran University of Health Sciences in Arizona. So for those of you who have been following us for a while, you may know us as Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine. We were founded in 1993 as Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine. But just last fall, we were able to become a university and change our name to Sonoran University, as we are starting to have more programs, such as a master's in clinical nutrition and a master's in nutrition and business leadership. But for the purposes of this chat, I'm going to talk about our Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine program. So next slide, please. So why Sonoran University? So I'm going to talk about a few things that set us apart. Now, like many of the other naturopathic medical schools that you're learning about, we are a 4-year full-time in-person program. And one of the nice features of our program is that here in Arizona, we have one of the widest scopes of practice in the country, and that allows our program to be really comprehensive. So we're able to include acupuncture and Chinese medicine within the program. You don't have to take a separate program to learn it. We also include IV therapy within the program, as well as a number of other modalities. Next slide, please. So here are just a few examples of the modalities we teach, and that also includes injection therapies. So you will be able to learn about injection therapies in our regenerative medicine center on campus, which I will talk more about in a little bit. But here's just a sampling of the therapies and modalities we teach. So next slide, please. One of the other unique features of our program is that we have honors tracks. Now, this is something that you can apply to be a part of it for your 4th year in the program. So if you have an interest in, say, community health, nature cure, pediatrics, or regenerative medicine, you can apply to be in an honors track in one of those areas, which will give you a more, more mentorships and clinicships in that particular area, which will give you a more competitive edge once you graduate and are looking for a job. So next slide, please. And regarding our campus, we definitely encourage you to visit our campus for a campus tour. We also offer a virtual tour on our website that you're welcome to check out and see different aspects of our campus, such as a yoga studio, fitness center, teaching kitchen, beautiful library, herb garden, medical centers, all sorts of wonderful features. But I'm going to talk about just a couple aspects of our campus right now. Next slide, please. So the Rick Scalzo Institute for Botanical Research is the newest addition to our campus. This is something that opened in 2021. Now, for many years, we've had a wonderful research department where students can research botanical treatments for different diseases and conditions. But this new institute takes it to a whole other level. In fact, we're the second largest botanical research facility in the country, so we're very proud of that. We have a wonderful team of scientists and researchers who are doing all sorts of in-depth studies, molecular and cellular biological assays, in-depth testing, often collaborating with researchers at Arizona State University here in town. So if you have an interest in researching botanical treatments and getting involved in the research department, this is a wonderful opportunity with great state-of-the-art facilities. So next slide, please. So we actually have two medical centers right on our campus. One is where we see patients for all sorts of chronic conditions. And our newest medical center, the Neil Reardon Center for Regenerative Medicine, is where we see patients primarily dealing with chronic pain. And so this is where we do regenerative treatment options like prolotherapy, platelet-rich plasma therapy. These are very innovative natural injection therapies. And this is really the first of its kind, this institute, because it's integrative. You know, we have an MD on staff, NDs, acupuncturist, chiropractor, and they all work together to treat the whole person. So if you have an interest in regenerative medicine, pain management, sports therapy, then you can have clinic rotations in this medical center as well in your third and fourth year in the program, and even possibly apply for a residency after you graduate. So next slide, please. And so I want to touch on just some of the features that we have on our campus to support students throughout their journey. So we were the first ND school to have a full-time career services manager, and she can help you every step of the way in achieving your career goals, writing a business plan, networking opportunities, applying for a residency, things like that. We also have a full-time learning specialist, free peer tutoring, a number of different services to help you handle the ups and downs of medical school. So next slide, please. And so just to touch on where we're located, so we're in Tempe, Arizona, which is part of the Phoenix metro area. So if you love warm weather and sunshine, it's definitely the place to be. And I don't think a lot of people realize that the Phoenix area is actually surrounded by mountains. So there's lots of opportunities for hiking and outdoor activities. And if you want to head just a little bit north, about an hour and a half or so, there's beautiful Ponderosa pine forest. It snows in the wintertime, the beautiful red rocks of Sedona. So it really is a wonderful and diverse landscape. And like I said, we'd be happy to host you for a campus tour or an open house event. So next slide, please. So feel free to reach out to us. You can contact us at admissions@sonoran.edu with any questions at all. We'd also be happy to do a free transcript evaluation for you to let you know what additional prerequisites you'll need and what your next steps are. And we do have an open house event coming up in April, Saturday, April 22nd. So I just put that in the chat if anybody wants to register and visit us in April. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Okay. The next and last program for today's presentations is the Naturopathic Medicine program at Bastyr.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Chris. As Dr. Yunez pointed out, I'm one of the advisors for the Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine program at Bastyr, along with my colleague Terrence, who's based out of the San Diego campus, and my colleague Shannon. We do have the two campuses, one in North Seattle and one in the San Diego area. Okay, next slide, please. Let's go ahead. Can we tap? Yeah, there we go. So I'd like to go over a few things here that our faculty have sort of pointed out as what makes Bastyr stand out. We embrace a systems-based integrated approach, both when it comes to training in the medical sciences. We have sort of big co-taught integrated science courses, as well as our clinically oriented coursework. There's an emphasis on developing critical clinical reasoning by engaging with the subject matter through a hands-on experiential learning environment. And we do our best to utilize online educational tools. You know, it is the 21st century, obviously, to enhance and supplement in-person learning of the ND program. This allows for some more flexibility in the educational process and provides new ways to accommodate diverse diverse learners, excuse me. Next slide, please. All right. Much like the other ND programs, we are primarily a four-year program with some five-year options for those who either need to lighten their academic load. Sort of the biggest cases I see around that are folks who have family or other life commitments, or for folks who are interested in one of our ND dual degree programs, which I'll come back to in a little bit later. We offer about 4,100 instructional hours, approximately 300 credit hours in basic clinical sciences, therapeutic modalities, naturopathic medical management, and clinical practicum, and more than 1,200 hours of clinical training that starts in year one with observation. Clinical training takes place either in the Bastyr Clinic in San Diego or BCNH, which is the Bastyr Center for Natural Health in Seattle, as well as some of our external clinical sites where we partner with local community organizations, often to offer uncompensated care for folks who need a little bit more access to primary care medicine. I'd mentioned the dual degree options earlier. The way it works at Bastyr is you start by just applying to the ND program. Your first 2 years are sort of focused on getting your naturopathic foundation under your belt. And then in your second year, you apply for your secondary program. Sometimes people get a little nervous about this idea of having to apply to the secondary program, that they won't get what they need. Honestly, in my experience, if you are passionate about your secondary subject and you're in academic good standing in the ND program, that shouldn't be an issue. Once you get accepted to that secondary program, years 3 and 4 get expanded out to years 3, 4, and 5 to accommodate the additional coursework and the additional clinical hours, depending on the program you're applying to. You can pursue these dual degrees with masters in either acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, counseling and psychology if you're interested in being a licensed mental health care provider as well, or we have a master's in public health with a community health education focus. So sort of think the on-the-ground aspect of public health. Additionally, our curriculum also has concentrations in naturopathic community health and pediatric health, and you don't have to apply for any other program for that, but there are some prerequisites in terms of electives and things that you have for that. All right. So in terms of expected program outcomes, the faculty want to see folks demonstrate competency in biomedical and clinical sciences, provide patient-centered clinical services as ND primary care physicians, apply naturopathic philosophy and principles effectively to practice naturopathic primary care, uphold ethical standards and demonstrate respect and integrity within their profession and in their communities, and apply information literacy skills in the practice of evidence-informed naturopathic primary care. We also really emphasize at Bastyr practicing as a healthcare provider with a great deal of cultural humility and commitment to engage in a culturally responsive way with your patients, with the community abroad. And finally, to cultivate the development and dissemination of new knowledge in naturopathic medicine through education, scholarship, and research. Next slide, please. So really, I just wanted to be sure that you had everyone's contact information. We advise potential ND students sort of based off of your last name. So feel free to reach out to us or, reach out to me and I'll make sure you get where you need to go. As well as you can get a hold of our dean, Dr. Connor, at the email listed below. Really the top things I always tell students who are looking into a life in naturopathic medicine is, start by doing your research. That means, of course, reading, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos and documentaries, but most importantly, talk with the people. So practicing NDs in the states you hope to work in, as many of my colleagues here today have discussed, licensing laws are different in different states. That affects your scope of practice. And speak with ND students. I know many of the universities, Bastyr included, has opportunities where you can speak with students. So don't hesitate to reach out to me if you're interested in that. And please speak with advisors. We're here to help. Thank you, everybody. And please reach out with your questions.
Thank you all. That was really a quick snapshot into all of the programs here. So we have a bit of time for Q&A. And so what we can do is have folks ask your questions in the chat, either directly to the programs There was one person who was asking about research and what types of qualifications you need in regard to if you do want to do research at one of the naturopathic programs. So I'm wondering maybe if each of the programs can address that quickly. Let's start with Sonoran. I'm just going to call on you in the order that I see your square.
Let's see. Thanks so much. Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, the question is, what qualifications do students need prior to coming to your school if they want to conduct research?
So yes, I mean, really the research opportunities are open to all of our students. You don't need to have a background in research or healthcare or botanicals or anything like that. I mean, for many years, we've offered great research opportunities. So it's just the qualifications to get into the program. And, we've had students who've had articles published in peer-reviewed journals, students who've given presentations at conferences around the country. So just being a student really is all that you need.
Thank you. Anyone else want to chime in on this question?
Yeah, I don't mind jumping in really quick. So at NUNM, we do have a secondary program. It is a Master of Science in Integrative Medicine Research. And for that, you would be applying for it either with your ND degree or application or as an ad program. And for that, it comes down to your prerequisites, right? So the major thing that we look for in that ad program is 2 courses of math, which need to be pre-calculus, calculus 1, or statistics. And then besides that, not necessarily a background needed or anything, we take care of you in that program to be able to conduct that research.
I would just echo a lot of what was brought up by Sonoran already. If you're an ND student in good standing, if you're passionate about research, then talk to your faculty and you can get involved.
Yes, and I will, for here at NUHS, I've just put a link in the chat to our website with more information.
What is one piece of advice that you would give to a student in being prepared for ND school?
Yes, I could.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to mention we do here at NUHS for prospective students. I would definitely recommend attending a virtual event or an in-person event. We do have an upcoming event this Friday, March 10th. It's a student for a day event. You're welcome to register through our website, and I'll include a link. But definitely talking with other current students and even alumni. Thank you.
So I'll follow up on that. So in addition to, in-person and virtual events that we offer, we always encourage prospective students to possibly shadow a naturopathic doctor, see one as a patient, or even just talk to one on the phone or via Zoom like this to ask some questions like, what is it like to be an ND, or what does a typical day look like for you? That can be really helpful in learning more about the profession and making sure this is the right path for you. And also, if you are in a particular state, want to reach out to us, feel free to let us know. We'll be happy to send you some of our alumni in your area.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I can jump in next. Echoing what everyone says, ask questions, talk with current NDs, talk with students in the ND programs, but also preparing yourself for that year 1, right? Mentally getting yourself ready for that course load. Not only, for example, at NUNM, are you learning that allopathic part, but you're learning the nature cure on top of it too. So being ready to get through that year 1 as well.
I don't think there's too much more that I can add on that folks haven't already touched on. I think the one piece of advice that I give to students that hasn't already been sort of put out there for folks is I encourage folks to start working on that vision of where they want to go. where they want to take their career, how they want to contribute to the profession in their communities. And that'll be helped by, doing your research, talking to NDs, et cetera. Because I find not only does that help you make you a better candidate a lot of times, but I find it helps you take better advantage of what I like to think of as the informal curriculum in grad school. Grad school, like so much of life, is what you make of it. So do well, go to class, do well, learn everything you can from your professors, but there's so much to learn, in peer learning scenarios, through electives you didn't think about, through internships, all sorts of things throughout the time you're in school. So you'll only know how to take advantage of those if you know where you want to go.
Excellent. So
I
there
actually-
is,
Sorry.
go ahead,
Okay,
please.
yeah. I just wanted to mention that we actually have a Discover CCNM that everybody can sort of sign up for. If you haven't had a chance to visit the campus, it's sort of like a Zoom meeting where you'll be able to have an informative session. It's longer than this one, and you get introduced to the college, and then a little bit of background into the institution. And you get to meet some NDs that have graduated from the program, and you can ask them a lot of like medical or clinical questions. So I'll put that in the chat momentarily, and then you can sign up if you guys want to as well.
Wonderful. There was a question about global practice. And so what I wanted to, we popped a link in the chat to the World Naturopathic Federation. So graduates from naturopathic schools in the US and Canada work across the globe. There are folks who are anywhere from, probably just about all of the continents except for Antarctica. And so I think that, when you think about the naturopathic degree, there is a broad sense of where and how you can practice. And so the World Naturopathic Federation is the organization that is registered with the World Health Organization, the WHO, and represents NDs practicing across the globe. One thing I will say is scope of practice is going to vary from country to country. That is not something that is consistent for really any profession. When you look at other professions across the globe, you can't just typically transfer from one country to the next. So I do tell folks, if you are interested in practicing abroad, please contact the host country or countries that you are interested in potentially practicing and working in to understand their scope of practice, their licensing laws and regulations. There are ND grads from our schools who can work in many different capacities. I think NUNM, you mentioned some of your docs in places like Ghana. I know there have been medical missions to Nicaragua and Mexico and Haiti and throughout the Caribbean as well for our students to participate in. There are a lot of different opportunities, but we do ask that you be respectful and really fully competent on the host country, the host rules and regulations and customs, so that you are providing medically and culturally competent care and providing it legally. So are there any other questions? Can you talk about faculty demographics at each school? Sure. If folks can chime in on your faculty demographics, that would be lovely. Let's see, CCNM, why don't you start?
What I would just like to know, like our demographics as far as sort of cultural diversity. Is that what we're asking? Or
Paula, can you clarify? Are you looking for degree demographics, or what type of demographics are you asking about, Paula? Thanks for asking for clarification. I took it to be like what types of licenses.
Yeah, we have actually on our website, I'll put a link here in our academic calendar, it lists our faculty and whatnot, so you could actually see for yourself, and that would probably be the best place to go and get a sort of snapshot about who they are and what their credentials and whatnot are. We have many part-time faculty in that, so I wouldn't be able to speak to everybody. Yeah. And we've had, many of our faculty are long standing. So I will just put the link here for our page. Okay.
Thank you. Sonoran, you want to jump in?
Sure. So we have many faculty that some are MDs, conventional medical doctors, have a background in that. Some are NDs, naturopathic doctors. Some are PhDs and involved in research. So there really is a diverse mix. Some are even from different countries. You know, we also have some that have been with us for 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. I know Dr. Ding, the head of our acupuncture and Chinese medicine department, has been with us for a very long time. So we also have many faculty bios on our website, sonoran.edu, if you want to check that out.
See, NUHS?
Yeah, so we have a wide variety of faculty, especially a lot of faculty that have been at NUHS for a long time. And you will have in that first year, your basic sciences. You will have, as a naturopathic student, you will have classes with chiropractic students. So you have faculty teaching both programs. And then I can also add our student to faculty ratio is about 8 to 1. And then our student, the average age for our current students is about 28. But I'll include a link to our website with more information on the faculty.
Thank you. NUNM?
Yeah, where to start? A lot of our faculty has been there for a very long time. Just thinking of a few of our faculty members that I do clinical interviews with for applicants. One has been with the university for 30 years now. We have another doctor that came to us after teaching medical school at Yale, and she's been with us for 22 years now. So we have a long retention with our university. The other thing that happens a lot is our alumni come back. Our current president was a graduate, and then she came back for residency. She was the dean, now she's the president. One of our first research students is back as the dean of our graduate and undergraduate programs. So there's a lot of full circle with our faculty that have been through the program too.
Thank you. Bastyr?
Yeah, I mean, you have a pretty good spread. I think where it gets, I mean, obviously within the ND program specifically, you're going to have a lot of NDs, many of whom are Bastyr trained, but many of whom come from the other universities as well. You know, one thing that I think is kind of fun, I guess, about Bastyr is because we have all of our other programs, especially at our Seattle campus, we have students oftentimes who will be taking classes from people who are technically faculty in other departments. So whether that's our counseling and health psychology department, our nutrition department, public health, et cetera, you'll have crossover there. So as a result, you're going to be working with NDs, MDs, folks who are doctors of traditional Chinese medicine. You're going to have public health masters. You're going to have PhDs in research sciences and medical sciences. So a pretty big spread. I'll go ahead. We've got a new faculty directory too that you can go through and learn a little bit about folks. I will say it doesn't include any adjunct or anything like that, any of our part-time faculty, but you should be able to get a better picture of who you'll be working with by poking around in there.
Excellent. Well, we are just about at time here. So if there are any last questions you want to either direct chat to the folks who are in attendance or ask, please feel free to do that. And so that we can get your questions in before the end of the day. All of the folks here today also shared their contact information as well. So if you have any specific questions, or if you, oh shoot, I should have asked this moment. I call it the hand on the doorknob moment. Like as soon as, the hand's on the doorknob, you remember 15 questions that you wanted to ask. So if you have that situation, please feel free to either email us at AANMC at info@aanmc.org or any of the schools where they listed. Thank you so much. So I see a question that came in. Aside from the licensing exam, is a graduate of an ND program able to go into private or group practice? So there was a slide that I had posted earlier that showed the demographics of ND practice. And so there is solo and group practice is probably the most common way that folks use their degree. There is no additional training that is required. So naturopathic residencies do exist and range anywhere from 1 to 3 years. However, they are not required for practice. So our graduates may go into residency for additional training for an area of specialization or so on, but it is not required in order to practice as a naturopathic doctor. I think it's actually one of the benefits is you can attend the 4 years, assume you graduate your licensing examinations and pass all of the licensing requirements for the jurisdiction or jurisdictions you want to be regulated in. You can start practicing by September, October, after the year that you graduate. So you graduate figure May, June, take your boards in August, and then come fall, you can be a licensed provider. Or you can choose to do residencies, or you can choose to do additional training, but that is an option if you wanted that. So thank you for posting school contacts. I appreciate that. So with that, I think we're going to wrap up for the day. So we want to thank you all for coming and taking a little bit of time on your Sunday to chat about getting into ND school. I wish you all the best of luck on your path, wherever it may bring you, and hope that you just really kind of go into yourself. And if naturopathic medicine is the right fit, we would love to have you. So thank you for coming today, and hopefully we'll see you at another event in the future. Take care and have a great rest of your weekend.